Notice how when you travel, the time spent becomes suddenly more important, enlarged in focus. People remember their trips better than their daily lives, more often than not. Unless it's one of those somewhere sometime with someone you'd sooner forget. Or a binge booze fuck-up trip somewhere where no one wants to remember you. The food you ate and what you saw out the window while you were eating it, and the weekly Friday fuck becomes a touch hotter and wetter and even sometimes better, with the memory of the lustful ramping in that hotel room, backseat, or canal boat, after the life fucking on stage show in Amsterdam, Berlin, Hamburg, New York, or wherever you've been to. They probably have them in your hometown too, only you wouldn't go there. That's for pervs, maniacs, frustries, and tourists. And you wouldn't want to be known as any of those. Only the smell of those sheets, that coffee bar, that snack shop on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere where they sell roadkill burgers for a killer price, like you'll only find in the middle of nowhere. But if no one goes, there won't be any burgers, only rodents and vermin, i.e. roadkill to be. The feel of the age-old facade, bronze face, hand, or tit, the men here, and the blood rust-colored tips of the pins in the collar on display at the Torture Museum. And they have them everywhere as well. And we regard them as a somewhat strange and guilty pleasure, as their downing and beguiling as symbols of utter dominance and submissions and all steps thereof, the plentiful hard instruments of vaginal capture and phallic penetration, the cuffs and cages like cunts and wombs and clitoral thumbscrews, the knives, pins, and branding irons like tongues, fingers, and burning cocks full of boiling lead, ripping, prying, or ravishing in the quest of the source, the truth, the primal, the power, and the balancing, atom-fusing fight, struggle, laughter, dance, stand, fuck off, romance, conversation, mirroring of life and death. And that is why we get a turn on and a warning off out of touching that tip and imagining its penetrating force and the juices that would flow. Guns are dicks of death that come gold-plated at 7 rounds a minute, babe. Regular porn stars of death, that. The sight of bustling streets, hustling crooks, swaying trees, the rolling of the waves on that seemingly deserted beach, where we fucked our brains out on the sand and you danced naked with a boa and a belly chain made of long strands of seaweed, while half the village men sat separately masturbating, hidden in the shrubbery along the dunes. And we fucked and fucked and fucked again until lying somewhat sedated and all smiles, salt and sticky with each other's juices and saliva all over, we became informed of the circumstance by a friendly and polite, uniform, iron-faced policeman on horseback, who gave us cigarettes and a light and the kind advice to get dressed, wait 10 minutes for the shrubs to clear, and then wander off in any direction other than towards the village. Regular porn stars of life, us. And we didn't even get paid. Again. Didn't get fined over it either. It makes me kind of wonder how long Mr. Policeman had actually been there, with shades on and binoculars at hand. Voyeurs are all watchmen. Inquisitors and housewives, whores and virgins, nomads and dwellers, seamen and mermaids, hunters and games, judges, juries, and perpetrators alike. Foremost voyeurs of lust and voyeurs of beauty, voyeurs of pain and suffering and the maddening myriad realities, but mostly voyeurs of the simple matters of life and death, night and day, dance and dream, love and the lack thereof, that in its tiny ripples hold the power of great waves, bringing and taking life. And writers too, of course. Voyeurs, that is. All writers are voyeurs, cooking and cutting up, boiling and roasting the core of their impressions and grinding them into an expressive and intimate story of dark passions. A dish served in words on paper, screen, audio track. An admittance of the fact that they have secretly and openly seen, stood, and stared, and pondered, rippled, and streamed over the abundant ingredients of the ultimate and everlasting story of everything, ever evolution. And in that admittance lay their proof of life, their seed of abundance, their willingness to add to the seed and present also an object of view. Be an object of view to the voyeurs we are, you, reader, like well-dressed fashion addicts, and necktied suicidal wang-hung desk clerks, sitting at an immaculately organized table of a fair watching porn on a quarter-deck worksheet to keep the juices flowing, as they rubber stamp their way through life, theirs, yours, and mine, as we fight, flight, funk and flutter, fuck and bite, and bicker our way through the day to that shareable loneliness of the night, where there is not the one sun close by, but so many far away, and in such same way, dreams are distant realities. And thus we wanna gotta be astronauts, single neurons firing through the primal brain space, clusters of skeleton crews like single cell life forms creating a union from its today all, as they float through gravitational tides and solar winds in a flimsy cocoon. Cocoon or be cocooned, Mars attacks, Venus is a porn star planet's favorite name, and he stood there half crouched in the mud, and for not knowing how long stared at her two holes as she had crouched before him, staring at the purple-headed great-for-something shooter that stood up against the fur on his belly. And they were one in the staring, and one in the many suns later, as she crept towards him backwards and with lowered shoulders but not the head, as her perky butt stood up high on her knees, and he, in getting closer, slipped on the clay ground and fell full face into her two holes, and ate her cunt and arse alike, and thrusted and thrilled his cock, his stander, his middle finger raised in the face of death, his cheese-encrusted dipstick, his magic wand of divine sexual pleasure, his ramrod to the waves of her sea of passion, her salty sweet juices, her lip-filled cavern of indecency and procreation, her pleasure slid and eater of cock and cum, her temple gate eager for an offering, her salivating undermouth. As the rest of the day had long gone about their business, as it took no need for the invention of words for all to realize that this was coup de foudre, love at first sight, cock and cunt recognition, way before cognition was ever viewed as separate from our bodily being, that there wouldn't be anything to be done about it, and it would alter nothing but change not much of anything either, to try, or not to. And so it was up to them to make the beast with two backs and find out what the monster looks like, feels like, is in the morning, as it still devours us in days and nights stolen from routine, to deliver us to the raising heartbeats of the old in, out, in, out, in, Books ain't voyeurs, though. Trust me, hon, I wasn't watching. But that mirror is in the perfect spot for a splendid view of innocence. Like the shy one put in the back of the cabaret stage, giving the hottest strip in the house. For unknowing that the sideway mirrors make her hiding spot, the center stage of attention to the rows of voyeurs, she candidly goes all the way, whilst reclaiming and remaining innocent Eve. Littl provides the show, juggling an apple, a knife, and a plunger while balancing on the unicycle of death for daily life, bread, and breath. Life is a cabaret, and we will even pay to watch you get beautifully drunk, talking endlessly, half-mocking, and always bored, alert, yet blind to the mind-fucking brain rape that comes with the pop of every ejaculating bottle of champagne, as you, the dominatrix at the little round table, through words and looks alone, give machos their spanking, freedom fighters their ties, loners their comfort, and a reason to get lost. And who gives me, my readers, but the curiosity of an eager, responsive, calmly ferocious voyeur of a somewhat dirty mind? Keep fingering my pages. Turn me on the page corner with fingertips slightly wetted with spit. Taste my juice of words and feel the warmth of my unfolding pages. Smell the spicy sweet aroma of passion for life, permeating the air around us like a flower of stories, and be my humming bee. Fill your pouches with my pollen and fly back to your hive. Drive home, walk up or down the stairs and ejaculate my honey as your sperm of words to your friends over a beer, your colleagues working on the factory chain gang, your queen to wife over dinner. Say, honey, I was reading this book. Not now, George, and not ever. I provide the ideas around here. Good luck with that. Oh, feel me, fondle me instead. Let's giggle together, and when they look up and say, what? Look halfway up, but with your eyes still firmly fixed on my throbbing pages and my strong back like a rock-hard hard-on in the palm of your hand, and under the soft touch of your fingertips say, nothing. It's just his book. as I'm lying in your lap, open like your crutch, touching each other intimately. Yeah, let's giggle together and secretly travel off, just the two of us, into the open space of modern mind where most is yet uncharted as always and wilder than we think or take credit for. Put me in your bag, take me to the park. Let me lay in your cleavage as you bikini by the pool. Read me in the hot tub, baby, with a glass of champagne, and don't let me drop. Lay me to sleep in your special drawer, with your sex toys and panties and family photo album and sweets and hopefully no pills. Lay in slumber with me, out on the pillow by your side, your hair rippling in waves, crisscrossing my lines of words and hard-ass interpunction. And I'm lying in your arms, thinking, yeah, I'm the box set hardcover edition, baby. Oh, and if I don't grow beyond the length of the lines on all of the pages in this one writing book that I'm being written into, I'd say we're about halfway. That is to say, in the center, the middle bit, the crutch and crooks, the belly of the beast, come this far and still as far to go. That balance of hunger and a plate half devoured, tipsy on the swing of the bottle, passing that fridge on the way to a pee. And so the crux is, they had sex long before it was conceptualized as such, sin or blissful, hard or obligatory, intimate or public, binding or belating, brilliant or beastly, and so it was all of that and none of the above, as it was before mankind chip-chopped all the one being into many splinters of awareness, thoughts, and emotions. And so it was neither good nor bad nor just sex, and both sighed and peed afterwards and passed out into nowhereness, somewhat entangled and lulled, and pleasantly sore. In the middle bit. But I can't be sure, I might die on the next page. I don't know, I'm a book, and books, as we all know, don't know anything. Even my writer, my creator, me, with penis pen and a womb for a mind god dog, has no sense of knowing. For he might die of a heart attack in the next minute, or peer endlessly over the next empty line till the white coats come and drag him to pharmaceutical safety. If this is the middle, beginning or end, and of what? And so when they woke at the crack of dawn and sat sideways defecating in the mud that the river ate out of the embankment, they neither had a clue, though the moment felt a bit like all of that, beginning, ending, center, and edge, as great moments still do. Watching the many suns far away, climbing, turning, and disappearing through the night. And he had to grab a wad of nesting from his float and gave her one too to wipe the brown off their asses so it wouldn't stick, because wiping your butt with mud just never did work. And pooping amongst the fruit-laden bushes, well, just wasn't done, not out of a sense of preordained hygiene, morality, or any such preposterous notion, but simply because that's where all the little sticking, pricking, biting, sucking vermin and insects live. What? Off the sugary decaying berries, grapes, and innocent apples, and the sweet-tasting lips of the cunt that sits to shit there.